Alright, so I thought I would just toss this video up just very quickly. I just finished watching the last two seasons of Wilfred. The American version, not the Australian version. Mostly in this, I'm going to talk about my thoughts and opinions on the last season and the finales of shows we've had recently in general. But the entire last season, it was good when compared to season 3, where it felt like a lot of the episodes were filler, and a lot of it was like with a lot of it was dawdling. They didn't really talk about the picture that much in the third season. The third season, the whole "what the fuck is Wilfred" thing kind of focused on this picture he found that had a drawing of a dog in it that looked exactly like Wilfred. And that was basically it. At the end, they didn't even really answer it. It was just, oh, it was a picture that his sister drew. And season 3 ended with him going to this place, and he found a statue of a dog that looked like Wilfred. So season 4 opens up. Ryan's father is not dead. That the episode previous, which was the finale, was all a dream he had. And the first episode, the launch episode of season 4, basically it focuses on making amends, which he made with his father, and his father still died at the end of the episode. It was good. After that, I'm not going to say went downhill, because every single episode, basically, it tried to give you a little bit more of the puzzle of what is Wilfred, how come Ryan sees him as a person, and everyone else sees him as a dog. There was only like 1 or 2 episodes that kind of dawdled for a little bit, and my main problem with this entire season is Wilfred felt really out of character, because in the first few seasons, Wilfred to me always was like more like Ryan's conscience, or like his guiding light. Like, but if your guiding light was like your best friend, yeah, they'll fuck with you sometimes, but they always have your best interests at heart. But I found during this season he was very malicious most of the time, and wasn't really helpful to Ryan whatsoever. But I don't know. I'm kind of sad to see the show go as well. This was a shorter season than the other ones. The other ones, I think, had like 12 to 13 episodes, whereas this one only had 10. And the last 2 episodes were a finale. This is where the show kind of loses me, is the finale. It started off good. Like, right before the finale, Wilfred got hit by a car, he lost an arm or paw, whatever you want to say. And then it turned out he had cancer and was going to die. And because of him dying, he was able to bond with Jenna a little bit more and stuff like that. Wilfred's main goal at the end when he was dying was to get Jenna and Ryan together because he thought he was a god. That was a little bit of a too far of a plot thing for me. I preferred it when Wilfred didn't have specific intentions, when he was just kind of there to nudge Ryan in the right direction or mess with him in some way. The whole trying to turn him into a god thing, making it seem like he was there to make sure Jenna and Ryan hooked up, basically left me disappointed, because they don't at all in the show. When Wilfred's dying, they hook up a little bit, but then her husband, who she broke up with in the 4th season, comes back in the town like the first part of the finale, and they get back together, and it's a really crushing scene when Ryan confronts her about it. He's like, what the fuck? Why are you back with this guy? You said he was stifling and that you weren't really yourself. And she was like, oh, I was just overstating that. That's not really true. And it ends on such a sour note with Jenna that I can't enjoy the show because of it. No, they didn't have to hook up, but they didn't have to, for some reason, turn the Jenna character into such a annoying bitch at the end. Like, it was just a very sour way to end the show. The other character plot lines are more or less wrapped up. Ryan's mother's out of the sanitarium. She's dating the doctor guy who was looking after her. I can't remember what his name is, but he looks a lot like Phil Hartman. Bruce kind of gets a wrap up, more or less. He turns out to be this guy who used to be in the cult, who played the evil god in their reenactments, because basically Wilfred's a god named Madaman. Yeah, it's basically Matt Damon shoved together for some fucking reason. And then there's an evil god that's like a trickster god. I can't remember what his name is, but like Woo-Moo or something. I don't know. But Bruce turns out to be that. Like a person playing it, but then it also, in the episode, it also showed that he was like a dog person as well. I really don't know. I'm not going to put too much thought into it because thinking about it makes me realize that there's all these plot holes. But I think what the finale is basically saying is it doesn't matter what Wilfred is. It basically ping-ponged a lot between he's divine intervention there to help Ryan just stay centered, be on a path, to he's just something that's made up in Ryan's head, but still serving that same purpose as his, like, driving light, like, keeping him straight and narrow. Either way, it was okay. Just the whole part with Jenna was what made the finale really annoying for me. I suppose maybe if they had another season, they would be able to answer what Wilfred is, but I feel that kind of takes the fun out of the show, more or less, because that was kind of one of the reasons why the show was good, was because it didn't really tell you what Wilfred was, and just regardless of what Wilfred is, the character, like Elijah Wood's character that he's helping, is still a good person. It doesn't matter if he has like these little, if he's crazy or not, still helping him. I don't know, it's just a very sort of a deep show, more or less. Like it's kind of a deep show wrapped in like this really stupid buddy comedy sort of thing. Like I said, there was way, way, way worse finales out there than this. In my mind, the worst finale I've seen all summer, or all this year even, as far as comedies go, would have to be Californication. The Californication series finale was atrocious. I don't know if it was because it was canceled early and they just kind of like pulled an ending out of their ass, or what. It was just the entire end of Californication. The last season was Hank getting, like, finding out he has this other family, getting acquainted with them, like helping his son become a man, Runkle and his wife getting back together and staying together, and that's basically it. It's the finale of it was really bad, though, because I understand, like, maybe Hank and Karen wouldn't get together. Like, that was something that the show stayed from the start. Like, their entire relationship is poisonous, more or less. Like, as long as there's one, there'll be another. sort of thing. But it just ended on such a pointless note. People complained that How I Met Your Mother ended on a pointless note, being how, yeah, you met the mother, it turns out she died, and this whole show was basically the father's way of saying to his kids, hey, do I have your permission to go date Robin? That actually kind of made sense. Like, there was messages way before the finale that kind of made you think, the mother's probably not alive anymore. Because they should have actually just showed her in the pilot. That would have been really cool if they showed the mother in the pilot, where, like, it's in the future, the mother walks in like, oh, what are you talking to the kids about? And then he looks behind, sees the mother, and it's like, oh, I'm telling them how I met you. Like, that would have been a really cool way to end the pilot. Since they didn't do that, I kind of thought that she was already dead or something. The entire last season of How I Met Your Mother didn't suck because of the finale. The finale was probably what made it more or less better. It was one that they showed the mother too much, and they made her into a character. Kind of gave you more feelings when she died. Secondly, the entire season was focused on the fucking wedding that didn't matter in the long run. A lot of people were disappointed by the fact it was like, yeah, life doesn't really change. Things always stay the same. But I digress. Back to the Californication finale. What would have fixed that finale in my mind is if Hank and Karen had died at the end of it. The finale ends with Hank and Karen on a plane going to Becca's wedding, and then Karen basically saying to Hank, yeah, we're probably not going to get together. There's always going to be this tension between us, like, will we, won't we? And as long as I'm alive, this is going to happen. It could have taken one of two routes. Karen either could have died in the episodes prior when she was in a car accident, or they both could have died on the plane, which would have been really cool, because everything up until the ending of the finale was good. Hank left, like, Runkle and his son and the mother of the son, like, they were finding their own way. They were doing fine without Hank. Like, if it had just ended there, like, with a little epilogue of, like, what Hank did with his life, that would have been, I believe that would have been really cool. That would have been shocking, but good. We shouldn't shy away from killing off characters and overloading on the feels, because my favorite finale of all time is the finale for 6 Feet Under. When, besides the fact that it shows that Nate's death, it basically sent different characters on their own paths, just like the father's path sent Nate on his. It also showed you how all the characters would eventually die, and death was a big part of that show, and I believe that was a huge step forward as far as we know for storytelling in shows. I think shows shouldn't be afraid to kill off their main characters. But I digress. Californication had the worst fucking finale I have ever seen. Good ones. Warehouse 13, surprisingly enough, had a good finale. Did it end perfectly? No, because sci-fi has a really bad habit of shooting themselves in the foot whenever they have a good show. But it gave us enough answers and enough of a feeling of what the future in this universe would hold, should it be picked up, that we're good on how it ends. It doesn't just end on, like, a cliffhanger. They saved the warehouse, they got Claudia's sister out. Claudia eventually becomes the caretaker in the future. Micah and Pete marry and eventually retire. It basically ended on a really good note. And the other good finale this year, I would say, besides that, would have to be, what was that show called? It wasn't How I Met Your Mother. Eastbound and Down. Eastbound and Down, the third season, which was supposed to be the last season, ended on such a punch to the face that It wasn't even the fact that he faked his death. It was just that there was no reason for that. Like, I thought it was rather funny. The finale of the third season was basically a joke. But they picked it up for one last run. And yeah, things leading up to the finale were questionable. But it was still cool, like how Kenny got really full of himself again. His relationship with his wife kind of fractured a little bit. Him and Stevie broke up a little bit too, like they were no longer a team. But the finale was just, oh my god. It did the same thing that 6 Feet Under did, where it showed, like, everything that this franchise could eventually be if it ever continued. Because the last 10 minutes, or 5 minutes of the show is Kenny Powers' life, basically, leading up to his death. He's, like, writing it in a book, almost. And you see, like, he gets back together with his wife. His wife dies in, like, a Batman-style shooting. He goes to Africa, helps, like, the African tribes, and moves in with them, and just learns to love the world. He dies. His kids, who are, like, very successful, come to his funeral. Stevie's there. And it has enough of that Eastbound and Down comedy to it at the end that it can't help but give you these warm fuzzies while making you want to simultaneously laugh and cry at the same time. Like, just how gorily they kill off April, and how, like, Kenny just guns down the two people that shot her is hilarious. And then at the end, when he's done writing it, right before the screen cuts to black, he's like, cut to black, and the audience goes apeshit, and it ends. And I was looking at an interview by the creator of Eastbound and Down. He said, yeah, this is the end of the show, but should we decide to pick it up in, like, a few years to do, like, a movie or something, there's still a lot more to do. We gave you the end, but there's still a lot of filler in between that we could give. And I believe that is a good way to end a show, since we don't end shows over here the way they do in Britain, where it's like, it's a finite ending. We wrap up all the character storylines, and there's nothing left. We always have to leave something open. But that's how I think they should tackle show finales from now on, is show you the future of the franchise if they were ever to pick it back up again, but give it a finite end. That is why shows like Dexter and Breaking Bad, to me, have had the worst finales I have ever seen. The Breaking Bad ending, it's not that he died, it's the fact that the entire season was a punch to the face. It should have ended with season 3, in my mind. He poisoned the kid. He will now become the new drug lord. He basically completed his metamorphosis from everyday chemistry teacher to drug kingpin. That would have been cool. Instead, they shat out this really shitty last 2 seasons of what's more evil than a drug dealer that poisons little kids? Fucking Nazis. We are going to have neo-Nazis in our show, and we're going to make Bryan Cranston the good guy again. That just pissed me the fuck off. The same thing with Dexter. Yeah, Dexter is kind of like 24, where it was up and down with its quality of show. Like, some seasons were good, some seasons were bad. But just the finale. The finale has become like a punchline, I find. Like, at least he didn't become a lumberjack. I think that either he should have died, or I don't know, there were so many better ways to end it. Like, he meets up with his girlfriend there, and maybe she kills him. Anything but becoming a fucking lumberjack. Anything. But I digress. I'm not sure what video I'm going to do next. I've been promoting these videos in a few other places, so if you can think of any place else where I can promote them, please send me a link or something in the comments section. If you have any idea of a video I could do next, or a topic I should do next, comment and send me a request. Thank you. See you next time.